Yes, wonderful. Audio fixed. Wonderful, guys. Wonderful, guys. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to send my thoughts. I've got a bunch of questions that we need to answer as well. I'm going to answer those. These have been posted on our blogs, so I'm going to address that as well. We'll quickly get back to business and fix all of this. Right, so wonderful. I hope the audio issue is completely fixed. You're good to go. I'm going to run an overall strategy for CAT. For XAT, sorry, I'm used to speaking about CAT, and then we'll dive and jump in and check individual questions. And so, if you have any queries specifically, please do send them, put them in the chat section. We will have a look at them. And I'm also going to clear out a bunch of questions that are already available on our blog. Wonderful. So, what are the adjustments you need to make from CAT to XAT? I'm going to speak from the point of view of CAT. When we've all had have some experience about CAT. So given that we've already done CAT, I'm going to talk about the critical difference. Wonderful, guys. I'm still getting some feedback on sound. Someone said dry run kar lena chahiye tha. Thanks a lot. We did do a dry run. We've done quite a few real runs. So I think we just thought it was going to work straight away. Something seems to be funny. Right? Okay, I am going to assume that the audio issue is fixed and the video clarity is now sufficient. I'm going to jump in. The elephant in the room very clearly is business decision making. So those of you who are taking XAT and looking to take it seriously, definitely spend time solving for BDM. And so BDM is very crucial. It's probably the most important section in XAT. It is the section that could decide. It's sometimes very tricky. It takes a while to get the hang of BDM. So spend quite some time practicing for business decision making. Let's look at all the questions that went by in the previous few years business decision making. Make sure that you are very comfortable with the way XAT thinks. And so we've done quite a few videos on BDM on our channel. And so go through them. In the last 3 years BDM sets from XAT, we have solved them and they're available on the YouTube channel. And so have a look at them. So you have some idea about how to go about these. BDM is the elephant in the room. Right. Now coming to quant and VRC, quant and VRC both are tougher in XAT compared to CAT. And so they're slightly different. In XAT they work with a wider field. They can ask wackier stuff. They can dabble in poetry. They can dabble in passages on philosophy. So the passage difficulty can be higher. The questions can be trickier. Overall, the paper is more vague. Right? Quant in XAT is beautiful. I've been solving a bunch of quant questions. Once again, the last 2-3 years XAT quant questions are all available with detailed solutions on the YouTube channel. So there's a wonderful playlist. We're releasing a bunch of videos over the next week or 10 days. So do visit the channel and go through them. Some of the questions are wonderful, absolutely fabulous, delightful. And so make sure you go through that to get a hang of how XAT operates. And I'm going to highlight the differences. The verbal part can be wacky. You need to pick up the ability to pick the right RC passages, leave the trickier ones, even better than what you did for CAT. Business decision making is clearly the elephant in the room. Practice for that. For quant, this is very important. The XAT quant for the last few years, it's different on 2 counts. One is CAT has a bhayankar bias for the simpler topics. At least it's had for the last 5-6 years. You get a lot of questions from percentages, profit and loss, speed, time, distance, pipes and sisters, ratios, mixtures, allegations, averages, linear equations, quadratic equation, those kind of topics. XAT has a bit of this, but then XAT ramps up difficulty rapidly. So in XAT, you're likely to face questions on reasonably tough questions from geometry, coordinate geometry, trigonometry. You look at inequalities, functions, exponents, those kind of questions, you find more of them. So you'll have from CAT, if you have to make an adjustment, you need to think almost like in terms of the trickier, more mathematical elements and the less quant aptitude elements. That is not your typical aptitude test. They're testing more heavy duty math. And there are some questions which actually are simpler if you know stuff like thinking about quadratic equations on the diagram or the graph for quadratic equations. So you will need to hard boot more aggressively quadratic equations, functions, trigonometry, coordinate geometry, and some elements of geometry vis-a-vis CAT, apart from maybe functions. So the more algebraic, more mathematical bits get tested. And so keep that in mind. So chase that. Do the last 10 days, 15 days, have a heavier bias toward more heavy duty math, geometry, coordinate geometry, trigonometry, inequalities, functions, quadratic equations. And these are the topics that get tested slightly more aggressively. This is the topic syllabus outline. In terms of level of difficulty, XAT wants to know whether you have a certain amount of numeracy, whether you can do some trial and error, whether you have a feel for where the numbers can lie, whether you can take the right guess. So be switched on about that. Have your wits with you. Don't necessarily solve everything only in linear, methodical, algebraic fashion. Just say, okay, this is what they're asking. Maybe I can put A equal to 11, B equal to 12, C equal to 3, and D equal to 24. That could work. And then let me work from there. So keep your wits with you like that. The data interpretation is simpler than what you're used to seeing in LRDI in CAT. So that is a saving grace. Right? So the level of difficulty and the syllabus, both you need to make adjustments when it comes to quant. BDM is big and you need to keep an eye on that very clearly. The split across sections, that is crucial. And so there is usually at least in the last 5-6 years, there's been one section which is wackily tougher than the other two. What that means is you get 5 right, you clear all section cutoffs. You get 7 right, you're looking at 99th percentile. So keep your wits with you. If you sense that is the section, that there is your quant is that section, batten down the hatches, play it very safe, make sure you have 8-9 in the bag and get out of jail. That assessment of, is this section really tough? Is maybe 8 questions will do. That bit of game sense you should have. A sense of how being able to gauge how difficult that is important. So don't get disillusioned. Don't go chasing after the 11th and 12th question in an impossibly tough section. Sometimes you just step back and say, okay, this is tough. Maybe 6 and I'm through. Maybe 8 and I'm walking on water. Brilliant. Therefore, I'll find my free marks in the other section. And so keep your wits with you. 1 out of the 3 can be very tough. So re-benchmark. Right? The next idea is time management. When you have to navigate 3 sections, make sure that the time split across the 3 sections is more or less going to be almost the same, unless you have a specific spike. You're gifted in quant and you can get out of jail by putting lesser time in that, then have that bias. But if you're right about balanced candidate across all 3 sections, the time you spend in each section, make sure it is the same. Make sure you have a buffer to come back to the section where you're worried about section cutoff. But don't plan continuously navigating across sections. Don't say I'll do 15 minutes of each and then keep doing that over and over again. That's not going to pay off. Right? There are 2 elements here. One is section cutoff, other is overall score. Very often I find that students get section cutoff and then try to keep a balanced score across 3. That's not required. Suppose you've got 7 marks in section 1, 12 in section 2, 13 in section 3. All 3 you feel that, okay, I'm clearing my section cutoff in all 3. And then there are 25 minutes left for the paper. Go and bank it in the place where you'll get maximum returns for time. Where now your overall total starts mattering. Now you don't need to find balance. When the section cutoffs are 7, 9 and 9 and you have crossed this, it doesn't matter. You could have scored 8, 10 and 25. That bias is all right. So keep your head above water, but don't look for balance. You don't necessarily need to have balance. Keep that in mind. Fine. So I've given an overall view of the paper. General knowledge is like a tiebreaker section. If you have an aptitude for it, if you're prepared for it, if you have done some amount of background reading in your life, then you're going to find it easier. Otherwise, read the next 3 weeks newspaper. Be comfortable with very recent current affairs, but don't look to hard boot static GK standing now. It's a tiebreaker section. It's not a deal breaker. Forget about it. Those are the ideas that you need to keep in mind to make the adjustments from CAT to XAT. BDM, go to town. Quant, do the tougher bits. Navigation across sections, make sure you have head above water and section cutoff, then find bang for the buck as far as the total marks are concerned. When planning the time, I would go for something like 45 to 50 minutes per section and then using the last bit to get maximum marks if you're not worried about section cutoff. If you're worried about section cutoff, take 10 minutes, sink it into the section where you're worried about section cutoff, get out of that, and then go get maximum marks possible. Right? Keep in mind that one of the three sections could be tough. Keep in mind that in some section, the section cutoff could be for as few as 7 marks. That has happened in the past, it happens frequently. So they test your kind of exam handling skill sets. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to jump to the blog and see the questions that are available there and then answer them. I'm pretty weak in quant. I'm focusing only on the below mentioned topics for quant, a bunch of simple topics. This is good. This is a good starting point. But of the tougher topics, you've included only geometry. If you're serious and you want a big score, you've got to cover at least a few of trigonometry, coordinate geometry, inequalities, functions, polynomials, quadratic equations, apart from geometry, which I've mentioned. So some of the trickier topics need to be covered. And which section should we solve first? That's entirely style based. I like starting from my bugbear section. I don't like one section. I want to finish that off first. One, I'm very fresh. And so two, I feel like I get out of this, I'm going to my strong suit. It's like how Indian cricket teams like chasing. Batting is a strength. Bowl, get it out of the way, and then we can chase anything. Even when you're bowling, you have the belief that you can chase anything. That works for me. For some people, they're front runners. They need to start from their strength. They need to go and demolish one section, take that feel good factor and momentum into the weaker section. So you need to figure out how your mind works, how it's about temperament and not about XAT. If you're the kind of person who works, you need to be attacking your weak section when you're tired, do that. And if you feel like you're a momentum person, start with your strong section. And, I've not done well in CAT or IFT. Is XAT 2020 achievable? Definitely yes. Fine. So there's no bearing on other. I've seen quite a few people who are particularly geared for XAT. Their business decision making antenna is up. So they kill that section. And that's a skill set that you can pick up in 3 weeks. So instead of getting 7 marks, if you get 12 marks, that is massive. Remember, XAT is +1 minus 0.25. So you're talking about very few marks. You get 40, 41 through. So a 5-6 mark swing based on some 3 things you do in the next 3 weeks. That's the difference between going to a very good college and not getting a good decent admit. So throw everything into it. And I've been getting this question that a lot of people are saying I'm not able to focus given that CAT has not gone well. CAT is gone. And so it's a 3-hour exam. It does not reflect what you're capable of. It is your duty to make sure that you give a fantastic shot for XAT. Set that aside. It's only 3 weeks. Grin and bear it. Grit it through. And I know it is not easy if you've emotionally invested in CAT for a long time. It's tough. We cannot just pick up ourselves and say, okay, now I'll go for that. The mind is still preoccupied with the joys or disappointments of that CAT exam. You've got to find a way of taking a 2-day break, focusing on XAT and telling yourself that the day XAT ends, that's when I start my binge watching. Till of course interviews. Right? So you're on a treadmill. You want to do an MBA, you're on this treadmill. You do an MBA, you're on the treadmill during the MBA. And you've got to get used to the fact that you can have fun even while being on a treadmill. You cannot be overwhelmed by the fact that you have to prepare for an exam. Right? How to allocate time for the sections? 20 minutes buffer, split almost equally across the 3, unless you have a big spike. Do I attempt one section after another? I'm a big fan of not just running from section to section erratically. So 165 minutes, 45 takes you to 135. The odd 5 minutes extra somewhere, 140. You have 25 minutes at the end. You either go and play defense and clear some section cutoff, or attack and demolish and get more marks wherever you can. That's the outline I would want to work with. How much time do I allocate for each question? You're looking to get 40 marks. So you have 4 minutes per mark. Do that. So 4 minutes per question for getting it right. If you can get something right in 2.5 minutes, go for it. That's a rough benchmark, because you will lose some time in skipping questions in the question that you have not seen, that you try and leave. So if you can answer a question in 2.5 minutes, jump at it, get it right. 40 marks is a spectacularly good score. That's what you're all aiming for if you're thinking about XLRI. So you're roughly thinking about 4 minutes per question. There will be some lost time in navigating across sections and spending time on questions that you don't end up attempting. 2.5 minutes per question is fantastic. How do I go about the RC passages? Read slowly, keep your wits with you. They're not impossibly tough. Do I attempt the poems? Judgment call. 1 year it could be very tough, another year it could be very easy. So I'm not going to go into very specific questions. Nobody knows. How do I prepare for GK? We've already covered that. Current affairs for the last 3 months, that is definitely more important than the whole year. In decision making, we've done a series of decision making strategy videos. Go through those. Do I always choose the ethical over the profitable? There is no choosing the non-ethical alternative. There's no choice. You're not picking an unethical choice. It's a no-brainer. One thing is ethical, another thing is non-ethical. There is no discussion. I'm not thinking about profits. I'm not picking the unethical part. Right? So, last 20 days have a heavy bias to BDM, some bias to the tougher topics in quant. Take at least 2 mocks, preferably 1 or 2 of them being the actual mock. I would want you to take 5 or 6, but at least 2, with the bias being to previous year XATs. The English or decision making or quant, entirely yours. We've done a set of questions on that. Do I attempt more questions or avoid getting a negative mark? My bias. We've done a separate video on this. And so we had answered that question with the assumption that till 12 questions you don't have negative mark, and the negative mark is for non-attempted question is minus 0.05. I'm told 8 questions, negative mark of 0.1. The bias is clearly towards attempting. When the exam is guess neutral. What do I mean by that? You guess everything, you'll get 0. That's how the negative marking is set. If probability holds its ground. Fine. So, but if you're not attempting questions, you get negative marks. So the bias is clearly towards taking your chances. Mathematically, if you can narrow down and eliminate even 2 choices out of 5, you should go for it. You eliminate even 1 choice out of 5, you should go for it. You read a question and you know that it is not A, C or D, pick one of B and D, take that chance. On average, all things taken into account, it should pay off. The bias is towards guessing. That is one very important adjustment you need to make. Thanks to the way the scoring is geared, the bias is towards taking your chances. I shouldn't say guessing, but taking your chances. Wonderful. Now I'm going to jump to YouTube and take the questions that you guys have posted there. When will the CAT coaching start? The CAT coaching is already there. You can go to our portal, you can pick it up, you can try heaps of content for free. You can sample that, then you can pick one of those up. 3+ years brand manager targeting SP chain only. Sectional overall for convert. I'm not going to go to specific questions. We're looking about how to maximize XAT. Fine. I'm scoring 75 in CAT 2009 VRC. That is fantastic. And it's going to be a top-notch percentile. So you should be able to kill this paper. Is it possible to prepare? Yes, if your basics are in place and you can do a few adjustments, you still have a very good shot at XAT. Don't throw in the towel. Still very much doable. How to approach DM for decision making? We've done a strategy video, a preparation video, and a bunch of videos. The actual XAT videos for the last 3-4 years, they're all members only, but there are plenty of videos on our YouTube channel, which is non-members only, talking BDM strategy and how to approach questions. Go through them, you should get a clear idea. CAT online question, Anu Yadav, that's already begun. You go to online.2im.com, you can click, check out loads of content for free, and then you can buy and jump in and start learning. Not very good at geo and algebra, how to improve it? Geometry is a vast topic. Learn from first principles, don't bypass anything. Pick up some good book and say 3 days I'm going to mull over it. But it's tough to hard boot geometry in 2 weeks or 10 days. I must tell you that. Should I solve CAT level? Definitely. The CAT level questions are wonderful. Quite a few of them are CAT level. Most questions are XAT level as well. XAT might have a few the odd really tough questions, but the benchmark on average to average basis, it's not outlandishly tough. On an average, XAT quant is a smidgen tougher than CAT quant. That's a given, but they're not wildly apart. How many mocks do we need to give in these remaining days? 5 or 6 would be ideal. 2 would be the minimum. You should definitely give 2. 5 or 6 is good. How to approach decision making. There's a video on how to approach decision making on our YouTube channel. Go through that. The bunch of BDM sets that we have solved and put, but that's members only. Just see if it works for you. If it works, pick up the membership and start learning. The membership is not expensive. I won't say it is cheap, but it's not expensive. Syllogism, does it appear in XAT? Unlikely. Why do you say guessing pays off? I'm saying informed guesses. Taking your chances pays off because there's a penalty for unattempted question, nothing else. So the math works like this. If you have 5 choices, odds are 1 out of 5 go your way. So if you attempt 50 questions, you can say, okay, 10 go my way, 40 go against me. If you randomly attempt, if you mark 50 as B, chances are 10 fall your way, 40 go against you. Full marks for 10, negative marks for 40 takes you to 0. If you're taking informed guesses, chances are on those 50 questions, you score better than 0. Maybe 4 marks, maybe 3 marks, maybe 5 marks. If you leave all 50 questions that you have taken chances on, then these 50 questions, in that 50 minus 8, 42 into minus 0.1, end up with a minus 4.2. Whereas attempting all that and hoping for a slightly better than random performance could end up with a plus 3, plus 4. 50 random or taking your chances answers versus leaving 50 questions, there's a 7-point swing. That's accelerate to nothing. So my bias is towards taking your chances. Should I attempt all the DM questions? DM questions are vague. Let me be very clear. I've done a bunch of sets for DM online on YouTube. And we've taken a lot of effort to break it down, to make it palatable and solvable, create a mechanism to solve other DM questions. I can tell you hand on heart, the DM questions are vague. They're not easy, they're subjective, especially the ones where they say, in which sequence should I approach this? Which of these are the top 4 things to do? Those are classically tough and vague. You never feel confident. Having said all that, usually there are 2 DM sets that strike home. One with ethics, maybe one with some number type, computational type thrown in, some with illegal, random, simple choices to eliminate. So 2 are usually more pliable. Attempt those 2 for sure. Fine. So if you're saying there are 7 questions in these 2 sets, maybe I'm getting 6 right, that is 6 in the bag. Chances are you're already flirting with clearing all kinds of section cutoffs. Make sure you get those 2 in the bag and then attempt a few more, because if you narrow down and eliminate even 3 choices, that's still good to go. You've got to take your chances. You need to know how to grab the free marks from guessing well. That's an important skill set. So take your chances. So there are, say, 22 questions, you get 7 which you think you are surely right. The remaining 15, most of them are half, 50-50 in or out. 6 or 7 of them right and 8 or 9 of them wrong, you still get a fantastic score. In DM, definitely get right the ones that are understandable on the simple ethics things, simple legal things, and take your chances. Taking your chances is absolutely pivotal, crucial for XAT. Keep that in mind. In math, I'm completely thorough with arithmetic and algebra and quant, but I have 0 knowledge in geometry. So, see, the guys have a geometry, coordinate geometry, trigonometry paper. They could have 6-7 questions from, at least last year they had geometry, trigonometry, coordinate geometry, giving you 6-7 questions. So, if you have no background in geometry, then forget about this. Get your marks on your strength areas and hope for the best. But if you have some background, or you're comfortable but you just need to get some preparation going to get your edge back, it is still worthwhile investing in geometry, trigonometry, because the paper is tough. And XAT quant is tough. Will GMAT verbal ability be a good source for XAT preparation? Definitely yes. GMAT verbal is good, challenging. Is a DM course same on YouTube and 2IIM? Anything, anywhere is available inside the 2IIM course. If you have subscribed to the course, either the green or comprehensive or XAT crash course, anything we put anywhere, we will give it to all our paid users. All the students who have subscribed to our course will get access to everything that we create on any platform. So if you found something from our from 2 a.m. on YouTube or anywhere, you can take it for granted that it is available inside the platform. Friends, we will not deny anything to our existing students. At worst, we might be editing a video and be uploading the subsequent day. We might want to touch it up and improve the volume and the rest of it. But anything we do on YouTube will be available inside the platform. Nitish Srivastava, solved XAT 19, but my VARC was a disaster. You need to make some tweaks. We don't have time for a complete overhaul. I cannot tell you, build the reading habit over the next 4 months. We haven't got 4 months. Do a few things. Pick passages well. Read slower. Hang in there to figure out the best choices. Don't panic and read quicker. Many people who are uncomfortable with VRC start trying to read faster and faster. Don't do that. Read slower. Feel assured. Get this feeling that this is not an English exam. This is verbal ability. Everything that I need to know is present in the passage. Very often we panic and attempt more and get lots more wrong and try to read quicker and lose detail. If your verbal is not where it should be, the percentage approach or the better approach is to read slower, get more stuff right, be calm, take your chances. Fine. Is the XAT decision making the easiest section of all? I don't think so. I think the BDM is probably toughest section of the 3, because if I attempt 20 questions in BDM, I'm confident in about 5-6 of them. The remaining, I'm worried. So if I can easily panic and say 5 questions, I'm confident all 5 are right, but all 15 remaining could be wrong, in which case I end up with a horror score. So I'm not assured. I don't feel good and confident when I'm attempting BDM. So I think BDM is the toughest of the 3. Is enough revision is enough? The quant and XAT is tougher than CAT. Approach is to spend more time learning the trickier topics. Geometry, coordinate geometry, inequalities, functions. Those are the ones that you need to spend some more time on. So allocate more time from now on into that. Membership duration is as long as you want it to be. The minimum membership duration is 1 month. It's membership for the channel. So you click join the channel, whatever the price packet is that Google takes, and then Google shares with the channel provider in some percentage ratio. So that is for membership for that month. You want membership for 1 more month, you pay for the second month. Otherwise, the membership duration is for as long as you want it to be, minimum period being 1 month. Wonderful. I think we've cleared pretty much everything here. It's a very interesting exam. Keep your wits with you. Turn up and kind of feel good the day of the exam. From now on, if you're preparing, focus on getting a few marks, focus on BDM, focus on the tougher topics in quant, make that adjustment from CAT to a slightly tougher exam. Remember that one of the 3 sections could be wackily tough. Keep in mind that section cutoff matters, but overall cutoff also matters. If your section cutoffs are cleared, then you don't need balance. You need to get 7 more marks from your sweet spot. You need to keep out of trouble in your tough section and really nail your easy section. Remember that. Wonderful, guys. I think we're pretty much cleared all the questions. You're getting a repeat of the questions: how to prepare for VRC, how to do what to do for TAP, etc. We've already covered lots of this at reasonable depth. There is a BDM strategy video available on the YouTube channel. Quite a few BDM sets have been completed on our YouTube channel, but those are members only. Try a few of them. I think it is totally worthwhile because the membership rate is very reasonable. So give that a go. I think the past year's BDM sets are quite possibly the best preparation material for business decision making. Wonderful, guys. I'm going to sign off now. Best wishes. Have some fun and enjoy yourself during the exam. Cheers. I'm going to find out a way to end this stream. All the best.